said earlier on, we are broadcasting live from Modderfontein, the focus rooms, where there is the launch of the 300 million rand construction fund. Right now, I'm going to be talking to Bongani Dladla, who is the CEO of the cidb. Good morning to you and welcome to Power Talk.
Good morning to all the power listeners.
Yeah, you were telling me earlier on that there's a certain Makanya that you know is full of nonsense. I can tell you this one is a good Makanya.
No, he's a friend, but I just said stubborn.
Stubborn, yeah, no, you are saying it in a good way. But this particular Makanya is very unstubborn. He's the gentlest Makanya ever.
No, I can tell.
Yeah, so this is a very, very gentle Makanya. Yeah, if I can just start by asking you, so this fund, it's a very ambitious initiative, and it aims to help small business grow into bigger businesses. What do you think the contribution to the high unemployment, basically to curbing the high unemployment rate is going to be?
Construction is quite significant for the employment rate in South Africa, and there's a significant multiplier effect. So whenever you have construction sites moving on site, it's able to accommodate many people, skilled and unskilled labor. So what happens when funding is not there to finance projects? Projects are stalled and they stop from time to time. And when that happens, people go back at home and they don't work. People are paid by the hour in construction. So it's quite important for us to contribute towards managing the cash flows of contractors by providing developmental finance so that our projects can be finished on time, on budget. And we have seen it over and over. You know, if you look at the last 6 months of last year, construction contributed probably half of the jobs that were created in the country. So when we have contracts and projects going on site, it is a huge contribution towards employment in South Africa.
Yeah, and then I had a conversation with the Minister of Small Business Development earlier on, and she was saying about that there will be a prioritization of township and rural businesses, township and rural economies in this particular initiative.
It's quite important that we look at those that have not benefited before, and also those that are far from many of the options that are there. You know, when you start up a project in a rural area, you'll find that's really the only economic activity that is there for that period of time. And the support is not there. You know, here in Gauteng or Cape Town or Durban, there are many, not to say that there's no need there, but compared to some of the areas that we work at, some of the areas where government is pushing infrastructure development, the ecosystem is not there. For them to be able to support by purchase order financing, revolving loans, or cash flow management loans, in order to be able to support them when they buy materials. So that's why such designated groups are an important one for the fund.
Yeah, and when you do infrastructure, it will be across the board. It will be housing,
yes.
It will be pipeline.
Across the board, civil engineering, general buildings, mechanical, all the key components of our infrastructure sector in South Africa, because we need it to be dynamic. You know, our needs, when you move from one area to the other, you might find in certain areas we still need basic roads or basic sanitation. But in other areas, we are going tech. You know, you need to have the IT infrastructure to support the development of sensings and the likes. So that's why we are looking at, because as a regulator of the entire construction industry, we aim to not leave anyone behind.
Yeah, and when it comes to scaling, that's not necessarily your area.
No, it's definitely our area, because what we are trying to do is to ensure that we have competent contractors that will assist the country in the infrastructure development spend. When the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Doing McPherson, says about 10 construction sites into turning South Africa into a construction site. We are mainly dealing with, yes, funding is a huge important component, but we also need to do capacitation. Hence, this funding component is part of a bigger build program where we are doing skills development and enterprise development and CIDB. And the partners that we have chosen, as you know, CIDFA now, combines both CIDA and CIFA, which was the development agency that provided non-financial support to the DFI, which provides financial support. So it was actually a natural partnership for us to enter into, because they believe in the same things that we believe in. You must provide capacity, you must provide opportunity, and you must provide the tools. What we are launching today is part of the tools, which is cash that is required to turn this country into a construction site.
Well, you're saying turning this country into a construction site. You drive around the big cities, you see a lot of construction that's happening in the outside. Yeah. But all of that wouldn't necessarily be the high level, higher grade construction companies. So where will the beneficiaries of this particular fund, where will they fit into the matrix?
The majority of the beneficiary, our intentions is to ensure that SMMEs are supported. Because, you know, some grade 9 companies, and again, I'm not saying all of them, they have relationships with their banks. They have access to overdraft. They can find other means to fund their project. But where we've seen the biggest struggle is in SMMEs. You get a purchase order today of, let's say, 500,000 to design, deliver, and build something for a municipality, and then you don't have cash. That's where really we want to provide fast solutions, even more than that. But when you look at between our grade 1s and grade 6, that is a huge priority for us, because those are the SMMEs that need cash the most. But we are working toward bringing more partners on board so that we can accommodate even the larger companies when they have financial needs, when there's bankable projects.
Yeah. And where do, let's say, your grade 9 companies, are they helping to facilitate the growth of the smaller ones?
You know, as a regulator now, putting our regulatory hat on, we decided to make that mandatory. You know, it's not a nice to have. It must not be a nice to have, depending whether you wake up wanting to develop. Because for the sustainable growth of the construction industry, you do need a strong pipeline of small grade companies growing up, because the investment in infrastructure is growing. So we signed an indirect targeting standard, which makes it compulsory that in every project that is large enough, they should be enterprise development, meaning they must be subcontracting to companies that are local, and those companies must be supported. And part of all of these, the training on construction management systems, and the developmental finance, is to ensure that we build that ecosystem, because that part where the big companies, the big construction companies and infrastructure clients play in, they provide the opportunities. When you have a R1 billion project, there must be components that must be subcontracted to smaller contractors. And I think we've gotten into that culture. But when now these big companies come back to us, they say, but these contractors are not competent. What are you doing to equip them? Hence the training that we provide and the developmental finance, because construction is a very cash-intensive business and people require support in order to graduate to the higher grades and also improve their competencies.
Yeah. And just lastly, so that you are the regulator, as you said, and anybody who wants to access this fund, this facility, goes to CIDFA and not yourself.
They will apply to CIDFA. CIDFA are the money people. They have the mandates to deal with developmental finance, but when things go wrong, people can come to us and we intervene, because we have a vested interest in ensuring that this fund grows, this fund is sustainable, and it supports as many of our contractors as possible.
And your success rate in a year's time, we're launching now, like in 2027, if yesterday what will you see, how many beneficiaries will there have been?
We need to be able to deploy the 300 million and get more funds into the system. But we also need to see a decrease in sites being abandoned due to financial reasons. So those are the key measures that we'll be measuring, and also the rate at which the money is being lended to our contractors, the number of contractors that are benefiting from this, and obviously at the end of the day we do infrastructure to improve service delivery. So the one key KPI that we'll be looking at, sites that have been abandoned and the number of contractors that have been supported in a developmental manner.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Capacitation, thank you.
Bongani Dladla.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.